Happy Valentine's Day, y'all. Even though it's almost over with, here's another Valentine's Day, another holiday. Me being alone, so damn sad. It's hard when you're queen, and when you're black, and when you're chocolate, and when you're bigger, and it's moments. But you know what? What's meant to be is meant to be, and it's always somebody out there for somebody, right? Lies. But okay. But thank God I got some albums to get through it, my God. Just to name a few: Monica, Code Red right here. Tony Braxton, the first one, legendary. Tamar Braxton, darling, calling all lovers. Of course, Mariah, Daydream. Yum, yum, yum. Last but not least, Usher, Usher, Confessions, darling. Just a few albums out of the many that I have to just, they got me a little bit through the day and, got me feeling a little worse about being alone and a little better. Let's get on to this review. All right, just going strictly off memory, you guys. All right. So the episode began. Everybody was getting on the bus or whatever. They decided that they are gonna go to Peter's homeland, guys. Gonna go over to Peter's folks' house, and so they're on the bus and they're talking. Everybody's like, "Where the hell's Kenya? Where's Kenya? Where's Kenya?" And of course, Cynthia just left from talking to Kenya. Cynthia goes on and on about how Kenya was upset about the whole thing, and who was the special person that went back and said that me and Kenya weren't best friends. Sheree instantly started talking, and Cynthia was like, "Was you the special person?" Duh, Cynthia. So Sheree started talking. She was just like, "No, what I said was, that y'all friendship ain't that close and all that stuff and this and that." Like, Sheree, you knew what you was doing, and you knew what Kenya's reaction was gonna probably be. I mean, it don't take long to figure out Kenya. She's upfront, especially when it comes to drama and things concerning her. And of course, she was gonna go and talk to Cynthia about it and get her thoughts on it. Of course, I mean, come on. So Cynthia starts crying, and you know what? It's just like, I love Kenya. She's a friend of mine. I want to be friends with everybody, but it's just like my friendship would never be nothing like that. You know what it is with Nene. And it's just hard. And my friendship with you, Sheree, and you, Portia, and Phaedra, and even Chris. Not, my friendship will never be the same. Like it is with Nene. And Kim was like, "What? Get me off this bus. You left me out of it." Making fun of Kenya. Very convenient. All right. So Phaedra making cat noises and shit on, and all kinds of stuff, talking about the lamb chop. Shouts out to the Lamely. Talking about lamb chops or whatever, because we was near Peter's aunt's house, and she's talking about barbecue and all this stuff, and then Kim was like, "Why does everything sound sexual with you?" Phaedra making a joke, and Chris spoke up, was just like, "Because she says after everything." And Phaedra was just like, "You would know, I like Chris. He's a little sassy." So anyway, they meet Peter's aunt and his father's little sister, and they're talking and chatting, and they had some good food, had a little moment, found out Peter was a good child. He's one of seven. They used to all sleep in one bed back in the 1600s, and it was just real cool or whatever. They had their little moments. It was cute, yada yada. I would like to go to Jamaica one day though. I'm not gonna, queen out or anything, because the islands, they don't play that shit, my God. But let's see. All right, moving on from that scene. Uh, okay, the girls, they go and have a little chat moment. They sit and talk down, and then it's the guys. They go on over, and go get some drinks or whatever at this bar. So it's the guys, and then it's the girls. Matt is introduced to the guys officially. They start talking to Matt, just talking, trying to get to know him or whatever. Greg is being his regular, old Uncle self, and they're sitting around and talking. And then Matt is a little bit standoffish. You can tell he's a little shy. We found out he's only 28. Kenya's like 44, somewhere in that range. And so that was a little shocking to find out his age. And they was just talking, and Peter was just like, "Look, you need to stop with the whole aggressive thing. Don't do that, money. Don't do that with the whole aggressive thing. You need to quit." I personally didn't think Matt was necessarily being aggressive. He was a little standoffish, but I mean, I guess you would um see the way that he was acting as aggressive. I could see that, but I personally didn't think that he was being aggressive. So they're just sitting and talking, and Peter definitely he ended up rubbing Matt the wrong way, like Peter rubs everybody the wrong way pretty much at some point in life. And he's just like, you need to stop with the whole aggressive thing. And Matt was just like, look, I mean, whatever, like I'm bored with this conversation anyway. And Matt was just like, look, you can see me outside if you got an issue and this and that. Matt pretty much just gets up and leave, and I was just like, damn, it was like a really awkward moment, like watching it and seeing that. Um, I mean, they was just talking to Matt. Matt would have eventually warmed up. It takes some people a little time to warm up. He's kind of quiet and shy. He's just a gym head. He don't really have much of a personality, but I'm sure it's somewhere in there. But it takes a little people a little long. I mean, he don't know none of y'all niggas. Like, just chill out and. But Peter being aggressive and drama filled and wanting to be nosy, he brought an ugly side out of Matt. He might not want to mess with Matt. Matt is gigantic. I don't know. Speaking of Matt though, I don't know why them dudes they just be pumping iron to pump up their arms and stuff, but they won't work on their legs. Like I can't stand seeing a person who's disproportioned. I mean, if it's not your fault, then God bless America. But I mean, if you're like a gym nut and you're constantly in the gym, you're obviously focused on your body, your physical appearance, then you should want everything to be together and look cohesive and like it go together. Not don't be big all up at the top and little at the bottom. Like what the hell would we do that at? But anyway, so let's see. Moving on from that scene. Uh okay, let's just go straight to the commercial. We all know Mallory's there. And everybody's in the commercial. But no. I'm gonna go back to the commercial. I'm gonna go to this shady scene. So all the girls they sit down and have a little moment. Nini's determined. She was just like, "Look, I'm back in the scene. I'm Nene Leaks, and all the shit." And but I want Kenya to be back up in the mix. We all here together. I'm in a new place in my life, and I really want Kenya to be a part of this crew. So Nene goes over to Kenya's room. She sits and talks to her, and they sitting and talking and Kenya decides to go on and although Kenya was still upset, she was just like, me and Cynthia's relationship is important and yada yada whatever. So they sitting and talking without Kim had to go somewhere. Chris ended up leaving like he always do. It's so interesting how Chris ends up leaving for work. Apparently he's a singer and dancer and actor and this and that. But whatever. No, no. Okay, I want to see the actual cameras on him when he's actually doing his thing. He's actually going home to work. Okay. So they're sitting and talking, and they bring up Chris, and it was just like, yeah, Chris is very sassy, and we like Chris and stuff. And then Kenya was just like, child, they call him Chrissy in Hollywood, whether it's Chrissy or it's Tootie and Chrissy or whatever. Kenya, she was going in, and of course the girls ate that shit up. And they're sitting and talking and Nene laughing and stuff, and she was just like, "Look, now I know he was a tap dancer, but I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say that he was on Fashion Queens, but then again, I don't know, guys." And so it was just real shady. And Cynthia, she was just sitting back. She was just like, "Look, I'm not getting into this. I'm trying to remain neutral. I ain't trying to get into no more shit while I'm here, and I'm just gonna sit back and do anything." When Cynthia does that, it's interesting because she can sit back and do that and be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna be in this or whatever," but then she won't say anything to try to diffuse the situation. It's like, but you still sit there like a bump on the log, like you've mentally checked out, but you're physically still there. Like if you really have an issue with something, whether somebody's your friend or not, if you're offended by something or you feel like something is not right that your friend is doing, or if your friend is talking bad about somebody that you cool with or whatever, I feel like you should say something to that person, and they can take it how they want to take it. But I feel like if you think that something is wrong, you should speak on it. But she never does. And then she'll sit there and cry, or when other people start speaking about something, when she finally had enough, then she say something, then it all comes out wrong, and she's mad, and she'll go back and cry, and I didn't mean it like that, child, whatever. Um, so Cynthia's a puzzle, and I ain't got time to figure it out. So let's see. They have that whole moment. We get to the commercial. Damn, Bob is damn taking over the commercial. I really like Bob. Bob is funny as hell. I don't ever remember Bob being that funny. Bob had Sheree's ex husband. Well, I guess they're still married. Whatever. Bob had a lot of people not liking his ass, but Bob is actually funny. He's the most entertaining out of all the guys. The rest of them niggas can go somewhere. So all right, so they have that whole thing. And then Bob, like I said, taking over the commercial. Kim Tootie Fields doing a thing. Kenya Moore arrives, darling, to the commercial, but she decides to get on the paddle boat and go in the boat. Since Kenya, that was real petty. You know I love you, girl, but that was real petty and real childish of you to take your ass out there and paddle away. You know, I'm sure they was hoping she was gonna get hit by a bolt of lightning. It was lightning crazy. You know, it was bad out there. Portia and Phaedra showed up with thongs on and shit, just craziness. Um, let's see. Uh, so they have a whole thing, and they decide to have a little party afterwards. One thing that I did like about Matt was that Matt was talking to Kenya while they was all on the beach doing the commercial. Well, they wasn't doing the commercial, but you know what I mean. They was all talking, and he was just like, look, I was wrong for leaving, and maybe I did come off a little bit aggressively. And I was wrong, for how I reacted and everything. He felt like they was making fun of him because he was young. But I didn't necessarily feel like that. I just felt like Peter was just being his regular annoying asshole self like usual. So anyway, Oliver end up showing Portia's Puerto Rican Poppy. I love whenever they show Oliver, they show his ass slipping. Back when they was in Miami, I believe it was in Miami. Yeah. So he shows up and everything, and they have this little party for Kim because she did such a great job. Um, Kim's Kim looked great for the little party they had for her until later on when they showed her. And what? I'm on the phone. So anyway, Kim looked great for that whole thing, for the whole little party they had for her until they showed her ass and she stood up and she had on that cheap ass skirt. I was like, Kim, we have all these fashion divas around her. Would somebody help Kim out? Get her a stylist. Portia got like 10 stylists for every trip they go on. Please help Sister Kim out. It's ridiculous. Um, let's see. Apparently Portia had on the tightest dress I ever seen in my life. I was like, damn, Portia. Phaedra was just acting a fool this whole episode. She messed it with Matt. She ain't got nobody. Phaedra was just drunk this whole time, and I was living for it. Phaedra and Portia together is really funny. Do y'all think that their friendship, Phaedra and Portia, is? I feel like it's a genuine friendship, but I feel like her and Candy was different type of friends. I don't feel like her and Candy had as much fun as her and Portia do. I don't know. Maybe Portia start acting different when she get a man, when she get Oliver or whatever. But anyway, I veered off a little bit, but y'all know. I mean, it is what it is. Random list. My mama, yeah. So anyway, Sheree uses this time to tell the girl, she was just like, I don't like fake shit, and everybody's bragging on Chris and how much they like Chris and this and that, but that wasn't what they were saying earlier. And so she decides to use this opportunity to tell Kim that they think that her husband is fruity tooty, gay, whatever. How you doing? And so Kim was just like, what? So, we're gonna see their reaction. She's gonna get up and leave. Next week it looks like it's gonna be his crunk. And so, we shall see. I don't know. It was just really crazy. I mean, I get Sheree, she don't like the fake shit, but Sheree's trying to get her peach. I get it. Somebody told Sheree, it was like, look, bitch, we glad you back, but your steam is simmering down a little bit. You're boring. Do something to make us think that you're worthy of your peach again. So that's what she's trying to do. So you guys tell me what y'all thought about this review and all that. I'm Mr. Chalaki. Mr. Chalaki on Google Plus. Follow me at This King's World on Twitter, at This King's World on Instagram. Chase King was here on Facebook, at This King's World 89 on Snapchat, and I think I got everything. All right. So y'all tell me what y'all thought about this episode and all the craziness and all this drama. All right. See you guys later.